to another post-game edition here. We got Warriors King game 4. We're going to wrap it up here. Warriors 126, 125. Classic game here in Northern California. This will be one you'll be rewatching for years if you're a Warriors fan, that is. A great game here today, Sunday afternoon. Again, back and forth all day. The Warriors end up escaping with the win, 126, 120 to 125. We'll get into a lot of different things into it. We'll get to the wild finish. We'll get to Murray and Fox and all the good things the Sacramento Kings did today, because they did do a lot of good things today in this game, and a game that they probably feel like they should have had. So we'll get into their aspect of it as well. We'll talk about the Warriors bench, maybe lack of, and we'll talk about the big key guys. Kerr really relied on the big guys to bring them home today. We'll get into that as well. And of course, we'll get into some of the plays of the game and my question of the day and a quick little look to Game 5 ahead here on Wednesday. We've got to wait a few days for this one. Right away, let's start with a classic game here, right? Like you get this matchup between two teams right next to each other, more than 60 miles away. They both play high-paced basketball. The Kings scoring the most, the Warriors right up there with it. And we're getting that exact type of play. We're getting Fox, we're getting Curry, and going head-to-head, giving these epic battles. Neither team wanting to really give in to the other. When one team today goes up by 9, like the Warriors, the Kings come back and answer right back. Then the Kings make a run. They get up by 9. The Warriors show that championship heart. They come back and tie the game. Just back and forth, the way this game played out. And then the big-time play. You got Fox. You got Curry that really dug in, played well in that fourth quarter as the big-time players. But then you also saw guys like Murray step up. And, of course, even like Klay Thompson and your regulars for the Warriors as well. I kind of wanted to start right away with the finish of this game. The finish is let's go right there. The final 4:38 of the game. To me, that's where it got crazy, right? The Warriors are up 118, 115. Fox hits that little floater to cut it within 2. Curry comes right back and hits that 3 on that weird play where Fox decides to go under the screen instead of over. Doris Burke made a good point of pointing that out during the game. Not a very good decision, one of the weirder ones of the game. Like she said, Fox just literally forgot. That cost him 3 points there. But Curry did his best to hand it back. We'll get to that here as we move on. The other part, then, Fox right away, he gets those 4. He goes to the line 2 straight times there. The crowd's starting to turn. Didn't like that very much as well. And another pivotal part as we start to go down those last few possessions was, again, Klay gets off on another pin-down 3. So those pin-down screens were really giving the Kings problems throughout today, especially in the big moments, which was kind of surprised me. And then the key point where I almost threw a controller at my television. Thank goodness I did not have one active with me at the time. The Warriors were up by 5. And then what do? Mitchell drives. He falls down on the baseline. Jordan Poole gets the ball. He throws it ahead. Not to our team, no. He throws it to Monk, who's at half court. Easily throws it down to Mitchell for the dunk. Just one of those games, one of those moments where, Lord, I was not a happy camper at that point of the game. Like I said, luckily nothing was in the hand at that moment. To me, I thought that was going to be a critical error. It just gave the Kings life. I think Klay was open in the corner there for a 3. So if that pass hypothetically gets there, who knows, maybe you get a chance to go up 8 there. Instead, it cuts right back to 3. Was not happy about that one. Looney then comes down, misses that dunk. It kind of gets tipped out around the three-point line there. And then it gets challenged there shortly after that. The Warriors end up challenging a play on Looney's screen there shortly after on the hip. It was kind of funny that Draymond was looked at Curry and said, no, he did it, but he moved a little bit. But they end up doing that. End up going with it. They don't have that timeout, which ends up being a critical play here as we move on to the end of the game, or towards the very end of it, where that one part where Fox, the Kings started to get really sloppy. There's that part. Fox is driving down the middle. They have that chance to go up 3, or I believe tie it there at the moment. And it's kind of a weird fast break. You can see Barnes wants to stop at the 3-point line, kind of banking on Fox passing it to him there, but Sabonis is weirdly right next to him, not good spacing on the fast break, and Fox throws it right between them. So that was a critical error. And then Monk comes down a little bit later, and he forces a shot, I feel like, or I think most people feel like he forced the shot there, and kind of bailed out the Warriors, didn't really make them play D. I know he was kind of feeling good, but that felt like a shot that he really kind of forced towards the end there. And then let's get to the big part of it as well. We got Draymond. Draymond comes in and makes that huge stop. Barnes looks in the drive. He blocks Barnes. Sabonis gets the rebound, but Sabonis goes back up. He blocks the shot as well. Just a big moment, yelling in Sabonis' face, give me that. Just getting the crowd fired up. And then what happens? Curry calls timeout. He calls timeout. They don't have any. They end up losing the ball. Fox, to make a long story short, right? Fox hits that three, which I did not like at all. That Green laid off him, forced him to shoot that 2-pointer in that situation. But Fox hits that three, and then things get crazy, right? Curry comes down, misses that floater, and then we're just getting lucky at that point. And then our good old guy here, Harrison Barnes, one that some people say cost the Warriors the finals here. He misses that 3-point shot, not quite in the quarter. We'll say wing there. I was hoping it'd be quarter just for his sake. Warriors fans remember the quarter more with him. He ends up missing that shot. And now Kings fans can now feel the same thing. So Northern California, we can unite today on that presence. Harrison Barnes missing 3-point shots. We can unite on that concept. So that's the end of the game there. Then Warriors end up finishing it out after that last shot there. So Warriors pull it out 126, 125, like in a classic. The stress, the intensity. And I kind of want to get to the King side of it, though, is Murray. Murray really showed up for them today. He was really good for the Kings. He was 5 for 7 from the 3-point line. He was aggressive off the bounce. He was assertive. They were setting some ball screens for him. It looked like maybe the coach obviously had confidence in him, and why wouldn't you after he was hitting as many shots as he would? But I really like the way they went at it today. So very good there. Tyler, thanks for tuning in there, my friend. Professional 3-point missed in the Bay Area. Yes, absolutely. That's what we agree on that one. Professional for sure. Harrison Barnes there. I just thought Murray, if he can show out like that, that definitely changes the series a little bit and what Sacramento's getting because, I mean, he's probably their next best 3-point shooter. I mean, especially with the way Herter was playing today, he wasn't on top of his game. And Mitchell, he's going to use a lot of his legs on the defensive end, which he does a good job of, really bothering Curry. So I just thought Murray, and then, I mean, Fox, we know is going to get his points, but, man, he's a problem. He's a problem for sure. I like the way, and that, I mean, he's definitely a problem if they go to their bench and they're not getting anything scoring like they were today because now they're going to have to rely on. I like how Curry switched it up by putting Draymond on him as well. That way, when Fox and Sabonis went pick and roll, he kind of still had Green in the area. So I thought that was a good decision to go there. It kind of worked a little bit through the third quarter. Fox was a lot silent, only had 6 points, but then he ends up getting the 3-point line, or ends up picking it up a little bit more in the fourth quarter. As we said, Monk, he's a game changer for them as well. I think he really wanted the ball at the end of the game. I think you definitely feel a lot better as a Warriors fan when he wasn't taking the 3-point shot. Even with Barnes taking it, he's 1 for 5 at that point. So I definitely feel good there. The Warriors bench, I kind of want to point out a little bit here as well. Nothing, right? I mean, Green comes off the bench, which is, I think, a good decision. I think most Warriors fans would like that with the Warriors actually getting that win in the game before and looking very good offensively. And they start out nice again offensively with the spacing there. And Green gives a good little boost at this point of his career off the bench. And, man, I want to say, though, Sabonis, I mean, he laid in to Looney on that one. I mean, he laid into him with that left shoulder there. So that was I was thinking a few possessions before that. If he just flops at one time, he'll probably get a call. I mean, he was getting hammered by him. So he does get. I thought Looney played really well today as well. I thought Looney does his thing, ends up getting it. What he ends up with today? 14 rebounds. Yeah, 14 rebounds, 6 assists. But the rebounds, again, are the key. Always the little tip outs that keep it available. Another thing I wanted to kind of get into a little bit was the Splash Brothers. Not just Steph Curry, but I want to give a little shout out to Klay Thompson as well. I thought Klay Thompson was – I mean, he did some of those shots that looked like he didn't even jump, like Zach Randolph around the rim or something. But he was doing it from like 18 feet, his little shots he was taking. I want to point out, my mom wanted to point out a couple times, I was asking her her notes of the game. She was saying that she wanted to shout out Jim Barnett about the shoes. A lot of these guys were slipping the sides of their shoes. Remember that, Warriors fans. Jim Barnett used to always complain about the size of people's shoes that they used to wear those days, and that's why they slipped. So, Bob, little shout out to you if you're watching there. But I thought Thompson was fantastic during the game. I put a poll on here. Let me see where we're at with it. I got 34 votes on it so far. I put, besides Steph Curry, who was the Warriors player of the game in their 126-125 victory? I put Draymond, Klay, Looney, and Wiggins were available. At this point, Draymond's winning with 50% of the vote. Clay's next, followed by Wiggins with 11.8%. Thompson, by the way, has 35% in that pool going right now. So I think you can make the argument that Draymond maybe was more important, but today Klay really showed up in this game. Like I said, hit that big three at the end, at the last 2 minutes of the game off that curl to really kind of give the Warriors that 5-point lead there, give them a little bit more room, which they definitely needed. So want to point him out. Let's go to Draymond there for a second as well. Like we said, I mentioned come off the bench, but his defensive awareness, when he's like on his game, gets the technical 12 seconds in, like, was it like 4 seconds in the game and somebody's on the ground? Was it Murray? I think he calls him some sort of, another word for cat, right? He calls him that. He calls him that he's on the ground about Murray. Ends up with a technical with Fox. Don't mind that if they get ejected like that, maybe. Fox for Green will take that, I guess. But then he ends up right away getting into it. But then he kind of keeps his composure from that standpoint on, just kind of really plays basketball. I missed a ton of shots. It was really efficient. I want to say he had to take over 10 shots. I'm almost guarantee he did. Yeah, what was he? Let me look. He was 3 for 14. So, my God, not good at all. But he ended up going 3 for 14, but he did the other things. The defense at the end, especially a couple possessions that really stand out, is that crossover he had from right to left when Sabonis tried to make it on him, and he picks that one, tips it away. He makes that one the game I pointed out at the very end, maybe the keyest one of the game. Barnes drives left, tries to go baseline there. He ends up rejecting it, falls back down into Sabonis' hands. Wiggins is there to support him as well, but he jumps up at the same time. Get that out of here, like really brings up the crowd. Like I said, those were the type of plays that Draymond brings that we really did miss in game 3, but thankfully we got off to such a big lead that we didn't have to worry about that as much as we would have definitely needed to in a game today. I kind of want to talk about as well what Steve Kerr did today. Like, we rip on his rotations and stuff like that, and my brother, he's not on here to talk about Kuminga and like how much he loves him, but like at a game like this, like, I mean, if Casey was here, I'd be like, how can you play Kuminga? I mean, he's not ready for the moment. And then you have like Moody, he wasn't able to play well today. Peyton, whatever he did is a few things, I guess you could say, but he wasn't impactful in any way. So Kerr, what I really appreciate what he did is he just relied on his big 6 today, and he staggered the minutes better. He took out Curry for 2 minutes, not for 6 or for 5. I love how he played them a shorter stint. And the reason he was able to do that too is because of our guy we have not talked much about, and he's always on our love-hate list, is Jordan Poole, and he really delivered today as well. What do you have at Wenda with 22 points, 8 of 15? He is so herky-jerky, though, man. Like, the way he does things is stressful. I got to say, somebody was saying that they would rather have Poole bring the ball up at the end of the game sometimes because of Curry. Now, I think Curry you're remembering the timeout right away, so I feel like that is kind of fresh on our mind. But I don't know, whenever Poole brings up the ball too, I get more nervous. I feel like, just because of how herky-jerky he is. But then he'll make plays, and you love him. How can you not? He just gets the basket at will at times, and he's fun to watch and makes his moves. And like I said, when he's shooting close to 50% like he did today, you can accept some of the crazy things he does. But I still think you always got to have the ball to be in Curry's hands at the end of the game in those situations. But I understand Curry's not always the most reliable as well, and obviously not remembering. I wonder what happened in that situation. Like, do you think Kerr – I had to pose this question. Do you think Kerr actually told the guys that? Like, do you think they were able to relay that at some point after the failed challenge? Or do you think that's just a mental error on Curry and he should have known right there no matter what? Look at the scoreboard, look at timeouts. But the coaching staff obviously should be able to say something to him in that time there. But I'm curious if that was relayed. I mean, you could tell Kerr was pissed. He's like, we have no timeout. So you could tell he obviously knew they did have it. So you would just kind of wonder at that point. It did look like Curry knew that he did have the timeout, or did not have the timeouts at that point as well. The rest today, I don't know. I'm never happy about it, right? Sometimes I'm sure Kings fans feel the same way. I feel all NBA fans. I mean, like, there's just moments where you're just shaking your head at things, but it is what it is. It didn't end up being the biggest play and biggest problem of the game. All right, we talked about some of the players of the game with Curry, Wiggins. Right now, Green's winning that vote outside of Curry, because obviously Curry and Fox were the stars. You have Murray as the other star for the Kings. So we got the Green. It looks like he's winning that vote there for the Warriors so far. I want to go for some plays of the game here before we look into Game 5 here. The double tees right away on Fox Green stood out. The wild crossover Poole had there when he double crossed up. I want to say it was Murray crossed up there, and then he crossed him up again and makes that kind of in-between pass to 2 defenders. I believe it was to Looney for the dunk there. So that play there. Clay's wild post-ups, like I said, are hilarious. The end of the third quarter sequence with beautiful basketball, gentlemen. Let's keep that energy going. That was old school Warriors basketball. 8, 9 guys touching the ball. You get the swing pass with literally 1 second on the clock when the ball goes up. Time runs out. As beautiful as it gets there. Curry's wild three there in the first half. I mean, how would that would be that for play of the game? Just shacks it up there by the 3-point line. Looks like Mitchell maybe gets a piece of the ball or his hand there. So just some of the wild plays that we had throughout the game. And then we talked about that wild finish as well. We're just I suggest go back, watch that 5 minutes. What a stressful game if you're a Warriors fan, man. Just the intensity of that one, though. All right, let's go to Game 5. Let's look ahead to it, people. Let's look ahead to it. Game 5, Wednesday in Sacramento. I know as a Warriors fan, you're thinking, this is the game we got to get. We get this one, we come home, we can clinch in Game 6. We can put an end to the series, move on. Maybe we're not going to even look ahead at that point. We'll stay focused. Stay focused here. All right, so let's go. So if we play the Grizzlies, or if we play this, if we end up playing the Kings on Wednesday night, like I said, Game 5. It's going to be interesting. The crowd obviously is going to be a huge factor at this point. You know, the tensions between both teams are heating up. Green's going to get booed out of his mind. That will be very interesting. The officiating, you think, is going to be tight at the beginning. We'll see where the foul trouble leads. I do worry sometimes with the Warriors in this game. Sometimes they do have tendencies to get blown out. Like we said, they're not a road team. So if they end up with a loss, it's not going to be shocking either. But you feel like this is the game. If you're the champs, like you defended your home court. You did what you needed to do. You fought out a gritty win today. This is the game to get right here. You know what I mean? It's the game to get right now. Right now, Game 5 on the road. Finish this one. Get this one. Finish the game off in Game 6. But I know a lot of people want Game 7 as well out there, NBA fans as well there. So we'll have Game 5 on Wednesday night. A lot to look forward to. A lot of interesting adjustments both teams might make. From the Warriors standpoint, they're going to have to get something. They can't play those 6 guys again, I believe, and expect those same results. Like Casey said, we can shorten the bench to 8 guys, but, man, you've got to get more than 8 points off the bench, maybe a couple threes here, maybe a little bit more from Kuminga. We'll see if Green gets back in the lineup, Jermichael Green, that is. At this point, you never know where he'll turn. I'm kind of surprised at moments, though, they don't play Lamb in this series just because of Lamb's ability to shoot three, but I know he's really bad on defense as well, so there is that part of it. But you just see some things where I'm kind of surprised Lamb played so much during the regular season that he's not maybe not getting a little bit more run right now, especially in some of these close games. But today was definitely not that game for a person like Anthony Lamb at all. All right, so Game 5, like I said, in Sacramento, Wednesday night. Obviously, I'm going to take the Warriors to pull this one out. I have the Warriors in 6, so I'm going to stick with that prediction. We got to have them pulling this one out. Be interesting where the media lies with it. I'm sure Vegas lies with it. Probably be just a point spread, if anything. So, all right, guys. Like I said, Warriors Curry, big game of the day, player of the game. What's he end up with? He ends up with 32 points, 5-11, 11-22, and that's why he's Steph Curry. Tyler, no Jermichael Green. I was waiting for you to maybe step in on that one. I figured you don't want him. DiVincenzo's got to be better too. He wasn't very good tonight as well. He did some, he's scrappy at moments. He's always going to do that. But I just felt like we just didn't get that same impact from anybody other than the big 6 there. The interesting part was the big swings in this game as well. Like I said, like the Warriors would get out to a 9-point lead. The Kings would fight back, and we kind of go back and forth. For a while, we didn't have any, we didn't have any defense at all, but it still had that intensity like there was defensive play. But the scores weren't there. Some of the shots that the guys were making as well. Fox's floater game is just ridiculous. So, all right, guys, that's the post game for tonight. Game 4, Warriors Kings. We got a dandy. We have a classic. We just enjoyed a classic. Tyler, hope to see you on the next one, my friend. Thanks for tuning in with a few comments there. Follow us at VSN Network over there. Go follow the guys there. They got a lot of podcasts over there, a lot of good shows. Use that code VSN15 for Row 1 at Row 1 brand to get 15% off anything in the art gallery. Maybe a Warriors Kings poster, something tonight. Maybe a Harrison Barnes poster. Missing something. We can relate. Northern California. We can come together tonight on that. Harrison Barnes missing threes can be frustrating. With that said, till next time, I'm Darren Breyer from Fat Boy Fadeaway Sports. Peace.